Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Have I ever thought about buying a wedding dress? No. Have I just spent my whole night instead of sleeping researching the absolute chaos and drama that is unfolding on TikTok over this custom wedding dress that was ordered by this person called Raylee? Yes. Dear Lord, yes. And what unfolded is like such a sheer obvious example of just how toxic the internet has become. How it's so normalized to just take whatever one person says without really thinking about what the other person may have to say and just running with it. Raylee got doxxed. Her job, her career, her partner was all thrown into all of this. And is that truly justified? No. This is something that should have been handled offline. Goodness me, do we have a discussion ahead of us today. But before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Cowder's Life, and on this channel we do video essays talking about things on the internet, and then we all discuss it and share our opinions in the comment section below. So if that sounds like fun for you, please feel free to subscribe. And if you're not new here, hello again team, and you'll notice Skog is wearing a Viking horn hat of sorts. And that is because on the most recent Patreon video we were talking about the land of fantasy and how fun that is. So if you want to go check that out, the link will be in the description below. Back on with the custom wedding dress drama. This topic has literally been trending all over TikTok recently, and it's got people like me and so many others involved who have said they have no interest in like this genre of video at all, but this whole drama around it has just sucked them in because it's just wild how blown out of proportion it all has been. So today we're going to break down what happened, explore both sides of the story, and dive into the broader implications of viral moments like this one. So basically what happened is a person called Raylee ordered a custom wedding dress from a dressmaker called Casze. And from like an initial outside perspective, Case's dresses look super premium. All their social media is really well done. Everything is like really just shot well. The models, the dresses, it's all put together very well. So from a marketing perspective, they've done a great job, and you can totally see why someone like Raylee would trust them to make a custom wedding dress for that special day, that thing you hopefully only have to do once in your life, you know, and you're entrusting that in someone else. Hopefully they can pull off the custom wedding dress of your dreams, right? Well, it went horribly wrong. Casze put out a TikTok saying how this buyer scammed them out of their wedding dress. This wedding dress they spent months making and crafting, not just them, but their employees. It was a labor of love, and they were not paid for that dress. They sent it off in good faith to the orderer, Raylee. And because, you know, they're a good person, they're trying to do a right thing by someone else because, you know, their wedding was coming up and they just wanted to give them the dress so they could wear it on their special day. The way Casze paints a picture is that like Raylee is this horrible, evil, calculated, manipulative person that was just trying to steal a free dress without ever paying for it. And initially everybody was on Case's side. They were saying things like, turn up to her wedding. And that is like the one of the more tame comments because it got very unhinged very quickly. Casze tagged Raylee, tagged her husband, doxed private information about her. All ethics and morals went out the window. And because Raylee wasn't replying initially, and Casze was just pumping out so much information, the whole internet kind of just sided with Casze and like, yeah, this dressmaker deserves justice. We've got to help them out. And, you know, I'm laughing because this is just how the world works now. But Casze started a GoFundMe for more money than the dress was even worth. People were donating. I feel everybody thought they were doing like the morally and socially just thing of like helping a small independent business owner. They're not like this big conglomerate or corporation that has really strong lawyers. So I suppose on a localized level, everyone thought they were doing a good deed, standing up for a business that, you know, did something in good faith. So I can understand how people initially thought they were doing morally the correct thing. But as we're about to learn, sometimes it's better to wait for the other parties involved's responses, because the truth couldn't be further from the story that Casze was painting. So basically, to run it short so we're not here just yapping for hours, Raylee came onto TikTok and said the only reason she didn't reply basically is because this whole situation had caused her so much stress right before her wedding day that she chose not to reply to any of this stuff until after the wedding, because, you know, that day should be spent around happiness, you know, getting to say I love you to the one person you believe is your soulmate in front of all your loved ones. A beautiful moment. You don't really want that to be filled with stress, right? But boy, did Raylee come with receipts, and it completely changed the tide of this.
To set the record straight, I did not wear the dress that Caze LLC or Sindera White made.
Raylee had commissioned this dress from Caze, and it had to be a fast turnaround dress given the time period of when she ordered it to when the wedding was. but Casze assured her it could be done, and, the contracts were signed and all seemed good. Raylee very quickly put to rest the accusations that she didn't pay for this dress. She showed screenshots of where she did pay for the dress, and she also showed that the dress she received was nothing like the dress she was told she was going to get. Many other critics have now come online and now, since seeing Raylee's evidence, have been like, yeah, that dress has not been made properly. One of the notable big points of contention is that glue was used on this dress, and the general consensus seems to be in the comments that the price you pay for a custom wedding dress, you expect the accessories on the dress to be sewn on, not just glued on. And I know some may argue, but the dress needed to be made at a certain deadline. Well, the business owner shouldn't sign contracts and shouldn't do business on timeframes they feel will hinder the quality of the dress, right? Especially if the orderer, the customer, is paying a premium for this service. And I think what's so damning, and now why there's been a complete tide turn and now everyone's on Raylee's side, is because the sheer evidence she's shown that she tried to be as accommodating as possible. And there are many instances where Case's customer service was just terrible. People not being where they said they would be at certain times, Raylee flying out for dress fittings and nothing being organised. It really does feel like a second-rate service, unfortunately. And what makes this more damning is the fact there are also multiple testimonies from other customers from this wedding dressmaker who have said their product they received was just bad, basically. They were missold something. They were promised this glamorous thing that they show in their adverts, and what they got themselves was something lackluster in quality. And how Casze has decided to respond to this is by uploading TikToks showing happy customer testimonies. Okay, great that you've had so many happy customers. It's clear that you built a successful business here. Awesome. But that shouldn't overrule the unhappy customers who felt they were missold something. They had a bad experience, and it's fair. They should be able to talk about that bad experience, right? Or at least be offered a solution from the company they feel they've been missold a product from. But no, this got taken to the streets of TikTok. Oh boy. And with both sides sharing their stories, the situation escalated to like huge, gigantic international proportions on TikTok. Viewers in the literal hundreds of thousands were so fast to give their thoughts on this matter. Let's discuss the public reaction and the role of TikTok in viral disputes. It's no secret that TikTok's algorithm boosts emotional and controversial content. Content that will divide people and get people throwing all their opinions into the mix. And as we saw from the beginning of the story, people are very quick to give their judgment. People are very much like, yeah, justice for Casze. Raylee's this evil, horrible person. Turn up to her wedding. It's okay to dox her. Nothing wrong there. Wee woo, wee woo. Where have our morals gone? Alarm bells should be sirening. And now it's suddenly on the side of Raylee. People are saying Raylee should sue for doxing her, for the emotional damage, for the stress leading up to her wedding. Because I should add, Raylee had to go out and buy another wedding dress because this wedding dress was not suitable, so she had to go get another wedding dress literally just days before her wedding. The stress that must have caused is horrific, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone on their special day, right? And the fact that neither party are backing down looks like it may actually go down a legal route, which kind of is wild to me that these TikTok feuds get amplified, something that probably in normal times, like 20 years ago, the two parties would have sorted out themselves. Because so many voices get thrown into the mix on TikTok and it gets amplified, suddenly it's a I'm gonna sue you, no, I'm gonna sue you type deal. And I don't know who comes off good in that situation. I think it's a sad situation for all, and people's emotions are being made bigger because they're getting backing from other thousands of strangers on the internet, so both parties truly think they're in the right. The criticism then switched to the sympathy route on this story. It's still mind-blowing to me. I remember watching this initially unfold and being like, holy smokes, this Raylee girl is done for. She is getting really dragged and obliterated online. Just thousands and thousands of hate comments getting tens of thousands of upvotes. It was pretty hideous. And then literally within a couple days, that switched to everyone being on her side. I can't even begin to imagine what that must feel like if you are either of the parties involved. Sheer highs and sheer lows. It must be truly exhausting. I think the most notable part of public reactions during this whole thing is just the sheer normalization of the invasions of people's privacy. People think just because this one incident was being pushed as an unpleasant experience where Raylee's this bad customer means you can invade her whole life, which I think is really immoral and disgusting. Yes, let's say the scenario was on Case's side and, Raylee had been a bad customer, she hadn't been sold this crap falling apart dress, and she actually got the product she deserved and she still hadn't paid, then it'd be problematic. And then, legal action can be taken. But you don't need to drag people online, dox them, and try and ruin their livelihood for this morally bad thing that's occurred. This isn't the equivalent answer. This is not justified. It's weird. And it really does need to stop being normalized. This witch hunt group herd mentality that occurs online. It's really disgusting. Logic and solutions? I'm gonna drag someone online and try and ruin their life. Ruin their life over a dress. Yep, that's me. That's what I'm gonna do. Wee woo, that's heinous and sad. But I feel with all viral moments on TikTok, this one really does just go deeper than a simple dispute. It reveals a lot about customer service, expectations, and the overwhelming power of social media. Let's discuss the risks and realities of a custom design wedding dress. Many were quick to also point out that custom wedding dresses typically take years to make. It's a bespoke garment. It's one you hope you only ever have to do once in your life. So it should be a labor of love, and it should be crafted to exactly how you want it if you are going that route, right? And the wedding dress means so much to you, which it clearly does if you're getting a custom one. And you can see from Raylee's pictures just how clearly unhappy she is with this dress. And to further just make this look even worse for Casze is she tried to flip the blame onto Raylee, saying she tampered with the dress when she got it. But many were also quick to point out that in Case's videos, the dress still looked crap in her videos. It didn't look like a finished product. It looked poorly put together. And I kind of just want to add some sort of compassion to this whole thing. Whilst I don't agree with how Casze acted in this situation, and it's very unprofessional, I think it also highlights how sometimes with custom work, miscommunication, differing interpretations, and unmet expectations do occur. And that coupled with just the wedding industry and how it amplifies expectations to an unrealistic degree. This dress, I don't even know what's going on here. I don't even know what style you're going for here. It just looks like somebody took a dress and stuck beads on it. Those little bead kits you get as a kid. It's very full on. And I feel conceptually it was probably beautiful, but execution is poor. And maybe that's because they tried to do something too big, too wild. You're too close to the sun, Icarus. Fly away. Good golly, what's going on? Sometimes less really is more. And I feel in this world where both parties have been open, this was a wedding dress that needed to be made in a short turnaround time. But, the business did say they could do it. You do expect it to be done. Boy, did they really cut corners. And I think it could just be a learning lesson for Casze that maybe we don't do short turnarounds for wedding dresses, because this is what happens. You use glue instead of actually stitching the beads in. It's wonky. It's not built correctly. That is not a happy person right there. And that's not me saying Casze isn't responsible. I think, the company is. As a business, if you're going to sell a product, it should be of the standard you are marketing it as. And if you look at their social media, it all looks very premium. And you're paying a premium price. This is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars being spent on this dress. You expect a very good product, but not only with that, you also expect a good service. Not a company that's then going to try and lie about you and defame you online, try and ruin your life, and also just have horrific customer service throughout the whole process. This is all pointing to the fact that Casze just thought this could be an easy customer. They're this big name now with lots of followers that they can just get away with this because of the brand name attached to them. And you see a lot of companies do this. They get lazy when they get big. And I think it just showed how unprofessional the company is, unfortunately. Or at least in this instance, how unprofessional they were. You shouldn't be dragging your customers online if they have a dispute with you. You should be taking it very seriously offline. These are not situations really as enjoyable as it may have been for millions of us to be oh my goodness, this is crazy. But these aren't really situations that should be online. It's when people talk about their relationships online. I'm just oh, this isn't really meant for the ears of thousands of people. This should just be between you and your partner. These things would have been a lot simpler 30 or 40 years ago when we weren't all on TikTok. But as the debate still continues over this dress, we're also seeing the impact of social media on these situations. I feel social media is now a stage for us all, and apps like TikTok have become the modern day core of public opinion, where disputes are broadcasted to literal millions in the space of hours. And I feel as two normal humans and being given this much attention so quickly must have real lasting effects on you psychologically, right? For better or for worse. And I really think rarely it's actually for better. This just must be like mentally very distressing. For Raylee, it created this huge wave of, we're gonna dox you, we hate you, let's ruin her life, to suddenly, oh, we love you, we were always on your side, you're great. Isn't glue bad on a wedding dress? Yoo-hoo. But for the designer, I feel this is gonna probably understandably damage their reputation forever. And that's tough, because as people have pointed out on other websites, this business does have other bad reviews. Now, I think people leaving bad reviews on review forums, good, because it shows how companies can do good things. It's clear that they've had lots of good, happy customers, but they've also had a portion of unsatisfied customers. Feedback like that is good for a business, so they can assess internally why things are going wrong and why things are going right? And then just become a better business going forwards. But like, I think with all of this, it makes me think about like the ethics of public shaming. Is it ethical and fair to air these grievances, on social media instead of actually just going directly to the company? Now, I will say, in Raylee's case, I'm not saying that's what she's doing at all. She was bombarded and hounded online because Casze decided to make her out to be this horrible person online, this unpaying customer. But what I'm saying is, does this whole situation truly hold anyone accountable in the way that they should be, to a level they should be? Or are people's careers and livelihoods going to be ruined over this? Yes, I truly believe Raylee deserves compensation for how she was treated in this situation. Not just a full reimbursement for the dress, but also just for like the sheer emotional distress that must have been caused throughout this process. That is horrible. This should never have been dealt with online. And when I think about this like ethically and morally, I always try and add like some sort of like human insight into this. See it as something where we can learn from these situations. But how Casze, display themselves in this situation is totally unprofessional. This is how a business should never conduct themselves. Do you think this is a lesson where the business can learn from this? Or do you think this shows that they are not professional enough to be a functional business? I think in conclusion, Raylee's custom wedding dress drama is far more than just a viral moment. It's like a reflection of how our expectations for this perfect wedding dress clash with the realities of custom design, right? It also is a very, very tough reminder of the powers of social media and using it as a tool to resolve disputes. While Raylee's disappointment and hurt is totally justifiable and understandable, at what point is the impact of the public criticism then directed towards Casze something we can't ignore? I don't think every situation has to end with a horrific witch hunt, is what I'm saying. People can do wrong, yes, they can be held accountable for that, but what I often see a lot of the time in these situations is, people getting death threats. That doesn't really seem morally correct. Yes, I think this situation really does need to be taken to a legal court now. I believe Raylee does deserve some sort of compensation for this whole thing. This should never have occurred. I think this can be a great learning lesson for other small business owners, or just business owners in general, that they shouldn't be blasting their customers online, especially when it really does clearly look like they're in the wrong. These things are private matters, and they really don't need to see the light of a public domain. Behind these viral moments are real people, and I think this would all have been much better for everybody's mental health and well-being if it was just served in a court, offline, where a judge will rule what the correct decision is. Not millions of people on the internet being like, turn up to the wedding, dox them. This is all unhinged. I don't like it. It makes me anxious. I'd generally love to have a discussion with you all in the comment section. And like I said, you don't always have to agree with me. If you think, I've got the wrong take and you're on Case's side, I'd love to hear why. I won't be like, I'm always open for discussion. And team, the Beyblade I want to show you today is Metal Dranza. I'm showing these at the end of the video now because I'm aware not everybody likes Beyblades and I don't want to waste people's time, but I like Beyblades. And I know some of you also like Beyblades. So Metal Dranza, real cool take on Dranza, a really interesting variant. I like the Bit Beast inside. I actually haven't used this Beyblade in a little while, so I'll have to use it soon and see how it fares against Dragoon. Zooey mama. I've been your boy Cadis Life. There'll be another video essay here if you want to watch another one of my videos, and I shall see you all in the comment section and in my next video. Yippee. Okay, bye.